Good morning. My name is Christian, and this is my presentation about transition in literature. So, let's start. In literature, when people talk about transition, it's basically to a certain point in history when there is a notorious change between two eras of periods in English literature. The transition period denotes the change suffers by literature work between Middle English and Modern English. This is this period is also known as the Age of Revival or Renaissance because people started reading old ancient Greek and Roman texts. Transition from Middle English to early Modern English, the literary period known as transition take place between 1400s and 1515 between the system of two excellent writers, Chaucer's from Middle English periods to Shakespeare's from early Modern English periods. Geoffrey Chaucer is known as the father of literature of English literature. His most famous work is the Canterbury Tales, an unfinished poetry book considered as the most outstanding poetic work in English. On the other hand, William Shakespeare was an English playwright and actor, considered as the greatest English writer and the world's greatest dramatics. His most notable books are Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet. But where are you bring? But why we bringing this to write to comprehension? Because the difference between their speed is caused during transition period. There are changes in language like vowel change, modification in sentences, structure, poetry, romantic, novel, sonnet, and two types of drama. Most notable genres for transition periods are poetry, sonnet, novel, and drama. Got it. The transition from medieval to Renaissance, but not only language change, culture had significant changes as well. For example, the rise of secular literature began, the rise of London English, the invention of printing, and the spread of new learnings associated with Renaissance are considered as the most important movement of transition period and in the 15th centenary. The introduction of printing, like we say before, give English literature a writing form, Greek and Latin texts. We adapted, translated, and imitated. Uh, William Caston installed a printing shop in Westminster, and Westminster in 1476. His first printed work was his own translation of Histories of Troll. He worked with religious material, but he also printed the Canterbury Tales in 1477. By this time, readers were more important than writers. There are also events that influenced literature work. Some examples of these are the Hundred Years' War, the Black Death epidemic, civil war between Yankees and Lancasters, the War of Rose, a Sun Victory, Morris Utopia, and the famous Kingdom of Nowhere. Even though this period lasts 115 years, some authors differ about the quality of English work. Some say that due to French inspiration and the widely acceptable work by English writers, extraordinary composition can be found. Others infer that literature had significant change in language and composition, but quality of the work was no extraordinary. Beside Maloris Martin and Dathers. Maloris Martin and Dathers, yeah. The cause for this situation are basically divided in three parts. The first one was that the word of Ross, mentioning above, caused distraction and had bad consequences for family who support literature. The second one was based on religious question that started filling on men's minds, and the last one was the learning and study classic. It's like they were more interested on old work than other creating new and native material. The transition was characterized by romantic idealism and things like world, love, religion, where its fullest development. So, thank you. That was my presentation.